Heard that Rhodey got hurt.
Yeah.
Coleslaw, right?
He tried to coleslaw right on my face.
That's right. We're recording. We're
He
recording.
was a great guy.
No buddy system.
He was good sectionally.
I'm gonna go with it.
That was a real quote. And then I misinterpreted it and asked him a follow-up question.
Oh boy, it's always a dangerous one.
Yeah, that was an interesting
Skirting
trip.
the line there.
Yeah, so we did the hackathon this past weekend in Iowa, and Joey and Ryan were the two seniors. We had 3 sophomores that went, and they did a pretty good job. Apparently, they had a really great working application about 3 hours before they had to present, and then something happened, and that application broke. But at that point, Joey wasn't conscious enough to fix it, so Joey started failing as a person.
More caffeine.
But the sophomores did a really good job. I think they learned a lot and seemed to participate well, and I think it was a really good experience. Huh?
All right.
The premise, the company that put this thing on was Dice.com, which is kind of a job search type place, and they have the impression I got is they have this new RESTful API that they want to test. They've historically had a JSON-based API, but they wanted to kind of bring it up to speed with all the modern day APIs, which are all RESTful, which is using the HTTP protocol standards as its base. So the modern day APIs are actually based on a very old technology. It's kind of interesting. But in any case, I think they really wanted to run their new RESTful API through the ringer, and that's what the goal was. But they didn't really set any categories or any like real guidelines for the hackathon. So you could have just made whatever you wanted. You didn't even have to use the Dice API if you didn't want to. But in any case, there was, how many total teams presented?
I'd say maybe 15 or 20.
15 or 20 teams. I mean, there was many teams there. And 24 hours. And our guys, Joey, Beaker, State Farm, Amish, and the Patriarch. Yeah, Abraham Roadies is the Patriarch. So some new nicknames were given. Jake Wirt is now State Farm. That's actually something he gave himself, sort of, kind of. I mean, I gave it to him, but last Halloween he dressed up as Jake from State Farm.
Oh.
So now he's just State Farm. We still don't have a good nickname for Joey, so I'm open to suggestions.
Well, I got lots.
Well, we have some appropriate ones, but they're not really classroom appropriate.
Well, we have one that's way too long, too. Hey, Gary.
That's right. We do have one that's an entire sentence. That's also not classroom appropriate. I forgot about that one. That could just be the inside joke. You just start off with, "Hey, Gary." Maybe that's your nickname.
Hey, Gary.
Hey. If you want to know that nickname, you can hang out after class. It's a good one. Okay, so anyways, our team, they made the concept was, so Dice.com does job searching to try to find a job. So you put your resume up there and all this stuff. So they decided it would be cool if you could search for jobs you might be interested in based on climate. So let's say that you really want to live in a warm climate with, this is the average temperature, this kind of stuff. So tell me about jobs in cities that match that climate criteria anywhere in the world, type thing. So they tied in some weather service searching and things like that, which allowed you to kind of pick your climate, the things that you were interested in, and then it gave you a return of jobs based on that. So pretty cool idea. I think they did a pretty good job of implementing it. In fact, my understanding is, I wasn't there at 5 a.m. when apparently it worked really well. But something broke between 5 a.m. and when they presented. But they did a cool job, and the sophomores had a good experience. So I think we're going to try to do another one down in Illinois in
April
April 11th through the 13th. That's a 36-hour one. So I think they're teams of 4.
Yes.
Okay, so
Wait, no, this one's
5.
4. This one's 4. This one's the last one.
Yeah, so this one's 4, the one in Illinois. So that is, I think we're going to try to put together 2 teams of 4 for that one. So if you happen to be interested, let me know, and we'll try to figure out that kind of stuff. I gather Joey and Ryan are interested already. Okay.
Alright. Wait, what days was that?
The 11th to the 2nd.
This is the wrong month. There was. Okay, yeah, it's a Friday. That's cool. Yeah.
Okay. The housing situation for that, I mean, I have to clear the tower first, but we'll all be sleeping in my parents' basement for the first night, probably. Well, what time do we have to? I'll have to look at what time we have to be there. Depending on what time we have to be there, you guys might not even stay at my parents' house. But regardless, that's where we'll be staying, so it won't cost anything. Just show up and stay up for 36 hours straight and code. All right.
University of Illinois.
Yeah. University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. So that should be a pretty cool.
Get my friend from July.
So that'd be a cool event.
We're gonna text and head to go.
All right. So let's talk about this midterm. All right. So certainly, I'm just going to kind of go through our slides, tell you whether or not I think it's important or not. Different kinds of programming languages, definitely important. Specifically, I want us to think about what compilers are. So I probably won't ask you anything about interpreted languages in here. We'll talk about compiled languages. It would definitely be fair game for you to tell me what compilers are. Okay? Different kinds of programming languages, machine language, low level, high level, also fair game. All those things play into. Yeah, you should know that by now. But all those things play into compilers. Understanding the CPU. What the CPU is, how the CPU works, how a low level language ultimately translates into magic tricks on the CPU. All that stuff, fair game. Strongly typed versus loosely typed language. Certainly fair game. I'm going to design the test to take about 30 minutes for the average student. So it shouldn't be a time stress type test. With that in mind, if you try to put yourself in the mindset of me making the test, I would probably only ask a question dealing with strongly typed or loosely typed if I was really running out of questions to ask. This would not be a high priority concept for me. So take that for whatever it is, but depending, all the questions will be short answer. There'll be no multiple choice or true false. Just write some stuff. I might have you do some. There'll probably be at least a couple of programming questions on there, but they won't be like full-fledged write a portion of a compiler. It'll be more of a piece of something that might, a widget that fits somewhere in a compiler, something like that. Okay. Certainly lexical analysis would be a fair game. As well as tokenizing a character stream. So the concept, so I very well might have you do something with string manipulation. I might have you write a method or something like that that takes a string in and does something to the string based on its format. Just kind of proving that you can manipulate strings and that kind of stuff. Okay. So all this stuff here falls into the category of grammars. So certainly a grammar. Reading grammars, writing grammars, saying whether something is a member of a grammar, which production does it match, anything grammar related would be fair game on a test. I very well might have you create a grammar. It wouldn't be anywhere near this complex. It might be a small grammar for a tiny made-up language that only is the language of numbers or something like that. Maybe it supports numbers and plus and minus, something like that. So I certainly wouldn't ask you to spend this amount of time coming up with the grammar we've been writing in class, but you should understand grammars. Okay? Okay, syntax analysis. terms of tree building and how the syntax tree, the starting point that you created the tree from should then also be able to be recreated. So the tree is kind of a two-way structure. Whatever we use to create the tree, we should be able to use the tree to create that original. Let's see if there's anything specific in any of this. The concept within a grammar of something that exists requires at least one. So that's with the kind of the regular expression symbol plus. Versus 0 or more. We should have an example of that somewhere with a asterisk. Like up here for statement. One of our grammar for statements is opening curly brace, 0 or more statements, followed by a closing curly brace. So understanding that difference between an asterisk and a plus sign in terms of what it indicates for a grammar. So I quite possibly will ask you to create a small grammar that involves that kind of stuff. Even like this question from this quiz where, write something called wrap token, blah, blah, blah. Something along those lines would be certainly fair game for a programming question on the test. In fact, I would probably call this an easy programming question for the test.
Hey, I got that one. Might be ready.
So you would be very lucky if one of the programming questions was this easy.
Oh.
I wouldn't necessarily make it substantially more difficult than this, but what I'm saying is if you struggled on this particular question, I wouldn't. This would be like this would be a lob ball in slow pitch softball or something. Not all of them. Isn't that kind of weird? It's kind of like that the race walking. At what point is it not slow pitch? Because there's like speed walking. Have you guys seen this before?
Yeah.
They just run.
Their hips like.
Yeah, I mean, like at what point are they running? I mean, some of these guys they could speed walk a mile faster than like, NFL guys can like, run a mile. I think it has something to do with you must always have at least 1 foot touching the ground. Isn't that it?
Although they usually don't follow that. That's the official rules, but most people still have both feet in the air every step.
Well, isn't that cheating then?
Yeah, that's why it's a dumb sport.
Oh. Is it going to be in the Olympics?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Speed walking is an Olympic sport?
Yeah.
That's weird. Did we win? That's even worse than curling.
It's worse than quad luge.
Quad luge is more entertaining.
Quad luge is the top of the
Only gay
Olympic
sports.
I saw on TV the other day, is the Winter Paralympics on right now?
I think it just ended.
Just ended, okay. So I think I was watching something related to that. Shut up! I'm about to tell you an interesting story about handicapped folk.
Same thing.
So, no, this is a true story. So this is, I think I was watching something on the news, the sports channel or something related to Paralympics, and they had sled hockey. Yeah, so, these, it was, and they're like good. I mean, so it was like hockey, normal ice hockey, but they're, I'm guessing these people are wheelchair bound or something along those lines and are on these little sleds. And they're flying around the ice.
Like 2 little sticks.
I know, that's awesome. I wonder if they have quad luge.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe it means something else.
Luge.
Just doing it.
With a quadriplegic luge, it would be advantage. He just controls it with his tongue.
4-man blind bobsled.
Blind spirit.
They're running up the hill. No, other way.
All participants must be legally blind.
How about like blind downhill skiing, blind hockey?
Yep, that's a good one.
The downhill skiing, is that the one where they have to like go through the flags?
Wait, no, that's
Yeah.
slalom.
Slalom?
Blind slalom.
Blind ski jumping?
Oh, gosh. Blind archery. No, it's not winter, but
Or
just imagine you're awesome.
Just a marathon.
Yeah.
That would
Just that's
running into
nobody
stuff
knows
all the
where.
time.
Another interesting. If you guys are looking for another interesting story after class, me and Nick Ashton at lunch today came up with a good game show. It was at least 99% me and him saying, "Oh my gosh, that's not right."
Sounds about which encouraged you to go on.
Right. Yeah, I did. I actually took it to another level.
Great.
There's another level of randomness to it.
You can take that to another level.
Okay, so exam will be about 30 minutes long. There'll probably be between 8 and 10 questions. That's usually about 30 minutes. All the questions will be short answer, fill in the blank, will not be on there. True, false, not on there. Multiple choice, not on there. There may be a picture-based one where I ask you to draw something. Draw your diagram of quad luge. Okay, so there should not be a time constraint issue. I expect everybody to be able to finish it in the appropriate amount of time. If you are running against the clock, that means you don't know your crap. It is closed book, closed note. Cannot use any of your resources. Let's see. All right, so questions about anything we've talked about. If you want me to re-go over any concepts. The rest of class is your opportunity to ask me questions. I'll recover anything you want me to cover.
Just remember hot BlackBerry. Over all that stuff.
Anything in particular?
The stuff on the test.
I have not written the test yet. The test will be written either
You just told me to go.
late Tuesday night or right before class on Wednesday. That's when this exam will be written. Go ahead, Skippy.
You just do like not like what you're exactly gonna do on the test, but like a brief one where you take the string and then you like manipulate it somehow. Like what? Just go in more detail like that.
Okay, so let's say that I asked you to take something in the format of
You don't want to be part of
Possible. There's no spaces in between.
something like that.
We don't work with spaces in between.
Fine, I'll give you. We'll actually put spaces in some of the places. There,
Spaces in some of the
spaces in some of the places.
this. All the wrong places.
That actually makes this more appropriate. Just a question I would ask.
That's my new band.
Okay, so I might ask you to take in a string that looks like this, something along this format, and I might want you to do the math. That would be a fair statement. Parse out this string, do the math from left to right.
Would you want order of operations?
No, just left to right, no order of operation. So this would be 1 plus 3, which is 4, minus 2, which is 2, times 83, which is 166. So your method would spit out 166. Along the same type of input, I might ask you to return an array of all the delimiters, where the delimiters are plus, minus, times, divide, something like that. So I might want an in-order array. So I want you to walk through this string and piece out the array where the first element is plus, the second element is minus, and the third element is times. So kind of prove that you can manipulate a string and parse certain information out of it, do something with it, that kind of stuff. Not an 8, it's a times.
I was gonna say.
Times is shift 8, by the way.
Oh, I guess.
If anybody didn't follow my Facebook from over the weekend, I would highly recommend nobody go swimming for over 1 second with an iPhone in their pocket. I was in the deep end of the pool at the hotel while these guys were staying up because I wasn't in the hackathon. I went swimming, and I was in the deep end for about 15 minutes straight. practicing my golf swing. So I'm like swishing water past my right pocket, probably into the speakers and up into the power connector. And so I get out, walk over. My wife's on one of the chairs, and I reach my hand in my pocket. I'm like, just dripping. And then the funny follow-up to that is, so I had to go to the Apple store yesterday in Des Moines, Iowa, to replace the phone. So I go in, I'm trying to think what my story is going to be. Because I got it all dried out. I put it like up in the vent at the hotel, like for the air conditioner to like dry it out and stuff like that. So I go in there and, I hand it to him and says, yeah, this phone's not turning on. And the very first thing they do at the Apple store is they pull out the SIM card and check for the moisture test thing. Mm-hmm. They take the thing out and water comes out of it. It was like a
I don't know what happened.
I want to say it was a teaspoon of water. It probably wasn't a full teaspoon, but I mean, it was noticeable water poured out of the phone. Okay, maybe it was a half a teaspoon or something.
You didn't think to take that out first?
Huh?
You didn't take.
It wouldn't have mattered because there's also a sensor in there also that does a moisture test thing. But yeah, that was pretty funny. So as soon as I saw water pour onto the table, I decided to say, yeah, so I was in the pool at the hotel last night. Just kind of came clean.
Swimming with my phone.
And it was a 64 gigabyte 5S. That's like $1,000 phone. Apple actually has a pretty cool policy, though. They replace the phone. They say, here, we'll dispose of this for you. Give us $1,000 and we'll give you another phone. No. Whatever phone you have, you can give it to them, and they'll give you the exact same phone. Capacity, color, everything. You can't switch colors for $269. So, yeah, it was $300, but better than $1,000. But I wanted to switch to gold, so they couldn't get gold. No, that would have cost me $1,000. If I wanted the gold phone, they would have gladly let me keep my other phone, my bricked phone. So I got the exact same phone I had before for it was like $283 with
Wait,
tax.
do you still have the broken one?
No, they have an exchange program, so I didn't get like a cable or anything. Just they swap the phone for a phone, and it has to be identical. Yeah, but I thought that was really hilarious when they opened up the SIM card slot and water came out. It's
I did not get this way.
yeah. I mean, it's one thing when they say, well, the moisture sensor is showing a red dot, so this thing has moisture damage and our warranty doesn't cover it. It's like, I don't know how that could have happened. When water comes out of the phone, not a whole lot of. There's not many ways you can explain that thing's never been in water. I don't know how that happened. Prove I went swimming with that.
You go swimming in the water that was in the phone.
I could have probably. In my defense, there was a bunch of kids at that pool, so I was distracted.
That's
That's murderous. You're murderous.
Again, out of context, that sounds kind of bad. For the recording, I don't like kids at all. They aggravate me. Therefore, I was distracted. Not for any other reason. Phrasing. That was like was that like an ultimate phrasing?
Yeah.
I don't know what worse you could do.
Oh my god. So
That was filling that code.
my wife did say that she recognized one of the reasons she appreciates me is I don't really have a temper. So I get out, recognize my phone's destroyed. Okay? I didn't get mad, didn't throw anything, really didn't even react. I mean, what's done is done. At least I have the story to tell afterwards, right? Okay, so other questions. Was that what you were looking for, Skippy?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why it's nice to have a super cheap phone, because when it gets destroyed, you're excited.
It gives you a
Yes.
Yes, finally. We did. Does everybody in here know Amish?
Like the language.
No, George. No, we have a sophomore computer science student. His name's Jordan Mather. Many of you may have met him at the computer science get together last week. His nickname is Amish because he doesn't watch TV. But he also has a flip phone too. He has a track phone. And what was funny, he was telling us that one of the that he can never use the minutes fast enough. He always has to buy new minutes because the ones he currently have expired.
The service time.
He runs out of service time because I guess they don't use the cell phones very much out on the farm and.
It sounds like Jacob. It's like Jacob that just got a phone recently.
And at the hackathon, well, actually, I think the people at the hackathon appreciated Amish. He made them. They had fresh butter for the banana bread they had in the morning.
He made a new silo for the soybean.
Yep, we had the Soybean Federation right next door. They had a silo. They had some wind damage, so he was out there. He built a kind of a barn structure.
He's really good at it. And he reared some livestock.
I don't know what that means. He reared. Oh my God, that is phrasing. Hold on. All right, other questions about the midterm? That last one might be on the midterm.
What did Amish do at the hackathon?
Bulleted list.
What? We get shot into space.
Going once. Going twice. I'll see everybody on Wednesday. Wednesday. Today's Monday. I am accepting bribes.
2012.
Definitely accepting bribes. I'm $300 lighter now from a new iPhone, so cash is king.
Too bad you didn't win with that.
I know. Garbage. They emailed me and told me I wasn't eligible because my team had to be half students. Well, I emailed them first. They didn't just email me letting me know that. I emailed them first asking if I could have the contact information. And the Indian Sunil, whatever that guy's name was, Manish, respond back saying, yeah, we're going to have one of our IT guys contact you about the thing. You know, we really liked your, I mean, he didn't tell me I would have won or anything. He just said, you know, yeah, I guess it wasn't considered. So I guess for any of them. I think that is what he said. Maybe they weren't considered either. Did any team that won have not 50% students?
Got first place. They didn't look like
No, he was a student. The guy that got first place was just a student. Because he went to University of Iowa.
The guy who got the student award.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, the guy who got the student award was just the one dude. The two guys who took first place were those two like semi-foreign looking motherfuckers.
Here, I'll stop the recording.